So, can I just say something? I love this hat. I love this hat. It's my favorite color, dark, dark, dark navy blue, and it's all about the Adidas, which is my favorite situation. And not because Adidas is suddenly popular, but because I was 13 years old and I played soccer and I got my first Adidas sweatsuit, and I literally thought that that's where life began. So I've been an Adidas fan forever. Anywhoosies, that's not what I came to talk about. So what I came to talk about is I am having some of the more challenging, uncomfortable, oh, this is very difficult kind of conversation. Well, it's not really that difficult. Coaching conversations with people who are really struggling in certain areas of their lives, and but they're struggling with what other people are doing or are not doing, and they are playing out patterns over and over again, and asking why isn't it different, why isn't it changing? And the hardest thing for anybody to say is, well, they're not changing because you're not changing, and that person out there, that government, that thing, whatever it is out there, is not the thing you're mad with, the thing you're angry with, the thing that is upsetting you. That thing out there, that person out there is simply there, to show you where you have healing to do, you have pain inside for you to sit with, to look at, to process, to comfort. And when somebody comes to me complaining about what somebody else is doing or not doing, I'm sitting there and taking that in and responding with, well, let's go a little deeper and ask yourself what you are doing, when this has happened before in your life. And for some people, I know it's a pattern because I've known them long enough to know this is a pattern. And I also will ask them what it is that they need, what it is that they actually want. And oftentimes, it has absolutely nothing to do with the offending behavior. And oftentimes it has, it goes back, and we can go back. And once these people drop their shoulders, they drop their walls of defense, they drop their walls of resistance, and we get into the actual feeling behind the feeling, below the surface, that's when we can really, really make some progress. And oftentimes, almost always, somebody will go back to a time, go back to what happened when they were young, go back to, this has been happening all my life, and it didn't start with this person, whether it's my partner or my boss or my child or whatever. It started way, way, way back, but that person, if you never were able to actually kind of go through and process and basically reparent yourself, then we continue as grown-up adults. We look like we're grown up, we say and do smart things, and we do these very important adulty types of things, but we're still needy, sad, scared, angry little children emotionally. And oftentimes those little children are the ones running around making decisions for us and hoping that things will turn out differently, hoping that if we just do the same thing or the right thing, or then we can control conditions and feel better. And what I am here to say is no, the little toddler in you is not making decisions. If you're continuing to repeat patterns and feel codependent patterns with other people and experience cycles, and you're going around and around and around with a person, you are part of the cycle. You are part of that dynamic. And instead of saying, well, if that person would clean it up, would stop doing this, would be this way, would behave differently, then of course I wouldn't get upset. I wouldn't have reasons to feel this way, blah, 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 blah. And that's backwards. The change has to come within you. The change, and when I have these deep conversations with somebody who comes to me and says, I need them to treat me better, I deserve better, I deserve respect. Well, my response to them is, are you showing yourself, are you conducting yourself in such a way that respects you first? You must show that respect, show that love, show that compassion, show that acceptance for yourself before you go out and expect other people to do it. And this is a really big disconnect with a lot of people who continue to experience the same cycles over and over and over in their relationships. So I had this conversation with several people just in the past couple of days, where other people are behaving and performing in certain ways that are upsetting my clients. And it's such a great opportunity for me to have that difficult conversation and really take it back to, well, what is it that you're doing? Can you look at some things that you're doing to repeat this pattern? And so there we are. Hold on. Hello? So anyway, this is, as I said, some of the more difficult, these are some of the more difficult, challenging coaching conversations. They're also the most transformational. I will tell you a story when I was, and if you know me, you may have heard the story, I don't know. When I was deep in my pain, going through my divorce, lots of court stuff, lots of insanity, I had a really good case about why I was being hard done by. I was a victim. I was really good at it. And everybody knew all of the terrible things that the other party had done. And in fact, a lot of other parties. Everybody knew I was really good at laying out those reasons. Can you believe the audacity of somebody to do that to me? And I had the gift of a very, very strong-willed friend look at me finally and say, Gina, nobody cares what they did to you. Yeah, we get it. You have a story. It's compelling to people who also are living in your victim state of mind. It does not compel people who have chosen to take responsibility, 100% responsibility for everything that shows up in their lives. And she didn't say it with all those words. She said, Gina, it's kind of time you stop talking about that. And after I got over the initial shock of hearing this really good friend who I really actually looked up to, I was like, this woman is lit. She was lit. She had a fabulous energy. She was magnetic to men, to her students. This woman taught in East LA, in the deep, dark, scary neighborhoods of LA. She taught in a high school, and her classroom was pregnant teen girls. And she was one of the most powerful, centered, magnetic women I had ever met in my life. And she was surrounded, men loved her. Her students thrived under her. And she had so many friends. She was always surrounded by beautiful, wonderful, powerful women. I considered myself to be one of them. I was very blessed to be in her presence. Very honored that she, was my friend, because it was clearly I was energetically in a place where I actually needed her to give me that smackdown. And she did it. We were at a brunch with a bunch of other women on a Sunday afternoon, and I was feeling particularly victimized and telling the story. And I don't know if I was telling the whole table because I didn't really know them. I was probably just telling her and wanting to feed off of her strength and to have her give me some kind of protection against this big bad bully I had made my ex-partner out to be. And instead she was like, Gina, here's a mirror, take a look at it and pull yourself out of this victim mentality. And I'm telling you, that was the actual smackdown conversation that I needed. I was ready for it, I was available for it, and I changed my life from that conversation. And so, I know not everybody's ready to hear it. I can tell when somebody's ready to hear it, when they're ready to take full responsibility for their role in a very unhealthy, abusive, toxic, codependent relationship. And that's when that conversation lands with them and they're like, oh my God, I get it now. I get it. It's not about what he or she is doing. It's about how I am participating. And it's not always clear what to do next. That's the next question. What do I do? What do I do? And this is what I tell you. That's what I tell my clients. This is what I did. One of the reasons I was able to turn my life around and be available for that conversation was I had immersed myself in personal growth. I had it playing in my ears constantly. I was reading books and articles, and I was surrounded by, and I invested in groups, Facebook groups, who walked the walk that I wanted to walk, who spoke in this language, spoke in this way of personal responsibility. I create my own reality. Now, when you start to go from I'm a victim of the world and all these things happen to me, no matter what your circumstances are, and I'm telling you, no matter what, I do not care what they are or how dramatic they are. And people will get mad at me. People who are not ready for this message will be like, well, Gina, let me tell you about how bad it is for me because you don't really get it. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to try and convince you. I will not try and beg somebody to take responsibility for their lives. However, I will provide the conditions. I will provide the atmosphere. I will provide the container for somebody to say, you know what, maybe you're right. Maybe it's time for me to do something different, and I don't know what. Just when somebody says, I'm willing to see things differently, I'm willing to do things differently, I'm willing to take responsibility, that is a shift. And so as I was saying earlier, what I did and how it worked for me, like I provide literally tons of resources for things that worked for me, processes I did, habits I've created, things that I do, my daily practice of my healing modalities. What I do may not work for everybody, but what I can tell you is this: when you start to ask spirit or somebody, how can I see this differently? What is my role here? How can I love myself more? The answers will start to reveal it. If you ask a different question, rather than say, what can I do about them? turn within. And here's another thing. There is such a different energy when you surround yourself with people who live in this personal responsibility, I create my own reality lifestyle and reality. And you immerse yourself with different energies, and you pour yourself and you surround yourself with people who live like this, speak like this, think like this, even if they don't all the time, but they're working toward it, then you automatically become like the people you surround yourselves with. So one of the things I'm noticing just so drastically, I am part of several relationship groups where people are struggling, and I am part of those groups, and I offer support. I add value, and I see people struggling in certain ways, and where I can help with my words, I offer that. And what I see overwhelmingly in those groups are people bashing and making jokes about and feeling like I'm really smart because I did this thing to that person. I let them know, by golly. And there's this attitude of superiority. And there's this attitude of, look at how bad those people are and how amazing we are, and we, as victims, I'm just trying to be nice. I'm trying to be a good person, but this person just keeps on doing these things to me. And I see the energy, I feel the energy, and I'm going to tell you what, that energy will perpetuate itself, and it will continue to show up in your life. You can leave that person, but you're just going to replace them with the next guy. And when you start to go, well, actually, I don't even have to leave this relationship that is causing me pain, or that I'm making my excuse for feeling pain. I need to clean up this relationship. That's when somebody changes and elevates. If people don't want to do it, you cannot, of course not, make them. People have to want to change, absolutely. And it can take time to leave those relationships, and it can also take an instant. So as I was explaining to one of my clients this morning, I said, listen, here's how it goes. When you are open and available to, could my life actually be different? Could I be doing something different? Am I willing to see things differently? Then Spirit will show you, and you will experience light bulb flick switching moments that are like, oh my God, I get it. Oh my gosh, wow. And then you will also experience incremental inner shifts that are subtle. And that's the journey, that's the process. And I actually don't ever encourage people to leave a situation when it's active. I encourage that person to start to look within. And these are people who are coming to me asking for help. This isn't me telling everybody, hey, this is what you need to do. Because as Lauren's pointing out, that's not my job. My job is to communicate what is true for me, my experience, my transformation, my story, my message. And that is my invitation to whoever is welcome and available for and ready for their next level, their evolution, their growth. And I'm going to tell you what, pointing out what somebody's doing wrong suggests to me and to anybody else that they're not ready. And so in terms of the light flicking moments, switch flicking moments, I remember one where I was complaining to another very, very strong woman, friend of mine, very close friend of mine. She came over to my house, and I was like freaking out about something. I was so scared. I mean, like body shaking, scared. And she's like, what's going on? What's going on? I said, I'm just so scared that he's going to find out about this situation I've got going on, and he's going to tell. And this was about like me having a renter in my house so that I could make money so that I could pay the bills, right? And I was so afraid that my ex-husband was going to find out and tell on me. And she's like, okay, let's get this straight. And she was able to shift me out of that fear, in just one simple, quick conversation. And that's what I needed in that moment. She's like, blah, blah, blah. And that was a switch flicking conversation for me inside. I was like, oh my God. I cannot believe I've been living out, playing out, and feeling this irrational fear. So that was a moment where I was like, oh my gosh. And so these are two moments in my life where I had switch flicking moments and conversations with people that shook me out of that, what I was practicing for so long. And those moments also come along with moments where I am inside going, doing my practices of meditation, of journaling, of visioning the life that I want to live. All of those things that I used to do, that I've been doing for years, that have changed my life. Those little shift, subtle, needle moving moments and practices, those practices prepare me to receive the other moments, the big needles moving ones, switch flicking ones, and the subtle shifting moments. And where I'm able to see things differently, have a different response, and parent that needy little sad, angry, confused, scared toddler through these moments of uncertainty and fear and heightened energy, and recognize this is just a feeling that I've been feeling and feeling over and over and over again my whole life. This is just my latest reason, my latest excuse to feel that same feeling. Boom. When I can sit through one of those uncomfortable feelings and be safe and provide my own sense of safety, of love, of acceptance. I see you, I hear you, your fear is valid, your anger is valid. You get to have that big, strong emotion, and you don't have to distract yourself away from it. You don't have to numb yourself. You don't have to pretend it's not there. When you can be with yourself and give yourself that love and acceptance and appreciation, when you can be in the presence of somebody who can handle those big emotions and not take it like, oh, this is real, that something more than just a feeling. And that's another thing I did with a client last night who was re-experiencing intense anger, frustration, and anxiety. Watching a bird. And I was able to sit there with him as he played out all of these very, very incredibly intense emotions. And I didn't have to respond to them in the way that somebody would typically respond, with trying to fix it, trying to make it go away, trying to make it anything other than what it was, trying to make him wrong for those feelings. I was able to just sit there and let him feel. And he did. And he got through, and the feelings passed. And he came back. And his walls of resistance and anger and defense melted away. And he came back into the present. And it was a very powerful moment, because I was able to hold space for him in a way that probably nobody's ever done. And so I'm trying to read it, Lauren, but I'll wait till I'm done. That in that moment, I was able to model for him, and then afterwards we talked about what had just happened. And I said, this is something you can start to do for yourself when you're ready. In the meantime, I'm here. One of the reasons I can do that is because my energy, managing my energy, my emotions, parenting myself through my strong fears and emotions and stuff that still come up from time to time, not frequently, not often, but when they do, I have a toolbox. I've got a practice. I've got things to keep me a structure, to keep me contained, and to recognize this isn't about what that person just did or what's going on outside of me. This is something that is showing to me where I have healing to do. That piece right there is really important to see, because a lot of people in practicing, studying, learning about, sharing, teaching about law of attraction, they get confused about like, well, why did I attract this? I don't want this. You mean I attracted this because I'm also an abuser, or whatever they're, they get, can you feel this energy that I'm saying? Why did I attract this? Why? I'm not attracting poverty. I don't want it. It's not about that you want it and that you are attracting it. It's that it's the circumstances in your life are giving you opportunities to see where there is healing to do, where there is, let's sit with myself. Let's be kind to ourselves and say, yeah, I know it's scary to invest money, or I know it's scary to be yelled at by somebody. That doesn't feel good. And to validate what you're experiencing. And parent yourself through challenging, big, intense emotions. When you practice this, when you have it demonstrated and modeled for you, it's so life-changing. When you are surrounding yourself with people who think in the terms of I create my reality versus I am a victim of my circumstances, then you start to become, you start to match that energy. You start to go, oh, I can see how they handled that situation. I can look up to that. That's another thing I did. I surrounded myself. At first it was all online in my headphones. It was all like podcasts and books and learning. And then I started to create those conditions. I started to attract more and more of those people in my life. Now I have people in my life who we sit there on and we message each other back and forth like, oh my God, I'm so proud of myself for this. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what I manifested today. Oh my God, my life is so magical. La, 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 la. And we go on these amazing rants about how amazing and beautiful our lives are. And that creates a whole energy shift, dynamic, whirling, spiraling vortex of new energy. And this is a practice. So, does anybody have any questions? I'm going to see if I can read this, Lauren, because as per usual, hold on, reading glasses. I'm in the sun, it's hard to see. I made a video about responsibility. I came across a video about someone talking about the transgender epidemic, complaining that there are numerous teenage girls thinking they're trans and then regretting a transition. I've been across videos claiming this epidemic for 2 years. The only weird part is that it only seems to be prevalent in the female to male spectrum. I don't know, I mean, I know many, because I was in LA and I still have contacts in LA, male to female things, changes as well. Kids, adolescent children wanting to make this transition. But you are probably, more, obviously, because you're more in it. People are blaming activists and doctors instead of looking at the people who not doing introspection. Okay, yes. I have said my piece on this topic numerous times, and if parents want to play the blame game on the wrong people, that is their choice. It will come back to haunt them. Agreed. Actually, Lauren, I know what you're saying. And that is really it's really just, I guess, where we're at in a lot of ways. And that's one microcosm of people in general playing the blame game and pointing fingers and saying, oh, it's that population or that population or that political party or that group, whatever, that is the source of problems. Ultimately it is, how can I take responsibility not only for myself, but for my feelings about my child experiencing life in the way that they are? I fully get that one, because I have two children and they're experiencing life in various ways. And one of them, it's pretty extreme and it's pretty uncomfortable. And it's my job to continually say, to do this work that I've been doing and take my responsibility and know what's mine and what's not. And to be the very, very most present mother I can be to both of them, to help them. Because when I was going through their toddler years, when they were very, very much more dependent on me, I wasn't this person. I was not able to handle their big emotions. And I had reactions that I still, to this day, I take responsibility for, and I also do not blame myself and go into shame and regret. Because I know a lot of moms with kids on, with any kind of challenges, whether it's addiction or mental illness or both. And so many moms really take on the blame. They take on so much of that blame. And it's like, you know, at some point you can take responsibility, and also it does not serve you to continue to blame yourself for what you didn't know. And to now say, I'm okay with our present circumstances. And I'm okay with me through the work, through doing this work. So yeah, I appreciate you sharing that, Lauren. And yeah, I kind of think that when people continue to push the energy onto other people about why their lives aren't feeling the way they want, that it either will come back to haunt them, or in ways that, you know, I'm not one who likes to talk about karma, because I just don't really, that's not my thing. I just think everyone's on their own journey, and things come up as they come up for everybody in their own time, and that's the way it is. Let's see. Oh, time for my glasses. These people that are pointing out a lot of detransitioners are only focused on the female. Oh, okay. If people are, hold on. If people are calling out the epidemic with kids and teenagers, why isn't the male to female wish transition just as high? Oh, I don't know. It took me long to decide to transition. I wanted to be 100 certain, and I made the right decision. Well, one of the things that I would add to that conversation is what we kind of can, I mean, I would assume we can agree on that an adolescent brain is not necessarily fully developed until it's like 21 for girls, maybe 25 for boys, or whatever the science says. I mean, I don't know the statistics, but I think it is kind of a responsible thing to say, you know, like maybe a child before a certain age, a young adult before a certain age, might want to have some understanding about what a lifelong consequence experience change would look like, or have some kind of, you know, ability to process, to like you process it, and you did it as an adult, right? You may have felt these ways young, but you were adult. Something long to decide. Okay, yeah. And I think what parents, even who are very supportive of their child, you know, wanting to identify as a different gender, they also want to protect their child from like making a choice that is not very easily reversed, right? But that's not really what you're talking about. I think what you're talking about is putting the blame on the doctors who are profiting from this influx of clients. And that can be said about almost anything, right? It can be said about plastic surgery, and it can be said about whole tattoos. I mean, it can be said about a lot of things. I'm not going to go down that road, because then I'll just get confused in my own mind. But the conversation is the same. What's my job? What's my role? What am I responsible for? My energy. And so one of the things I'm responsible for is telling everybody here that if you are interested in surrounding yourself with high vibe people, meaning these are people who do take responsibility for their lives, their words, their actions, their feelings, and they're practicing it. Maybe they're not perfect at it, because who is? What is perfect? But they've gone to the other side, and they're like, I get it. Everything that's happening in my world is happening for me, not to me. And that is it's just there, you can feel it. And if you want to surround yourself online with a group like that, I want to invite you into Next Level University. I'm announcing that I'm launching it. Yes, it's happening. So what Next Level University is, this is my invention, my creation that I opened up 2 years ago, when I started doing courses. And so I'm inviting you in to take my signature course, Next Level University, where you will come out of your fear and you will come out to the world as your next level self. You will start to identify with, express yourself as, and connect with the next level version of you. So as you come in, you participate in the 6-week online course. So it's an online pre-recorded home study course with a community, a very exclusive community of people who are taking their lives to the next level. And we speak the language of magic and miracles and personal responsibility and infinite possibilities of how our lives get to be. And we are creating, stepping into, and living our next level lives. So if this is something you want to know about more, I want you to click on the link below. Actually, should I put a link? No, just comment. Just comment, Gina, I want to learn about this. This is an investment. This is an investment that will absolutely, literally change your life. And this may be the thing that gets you, that is your light flick switching thing. That's like, oh my gosh, I get it now. So this is 6 weeks of video trainings, tons of homework that is really going to help you access what's going on deep below the surface. It's going to help you access your dreams, access subconsciously, what is it I really want? I have some of the most fun, life-changing activities to do. And of course, then you automatically become part of this club, yes, this tribe, high vibe tribe, where you will be immersed in this energy of next level living, quantum manifestation, and literally change your life. There is also a VIP option where you get to work with me one-on-one throughout the 6 weeks and get that closer connection, that, you know, container hold, space holding. If you need to have more of those deeper confronting conversations, uncomfortable conversations. So this is my invitation to you. Mention in the comments that you want to know more. People need to stop a certain sect of people and make it out to be the whole thing. I will not talk. There is no profit in, there's profit in there's profit. Anyway, I'm not going to comment here. It's not, of course there's not profit in transsexualism. Of course not. I think what the people are saying who have a problem with the, whatever they have a problem with. I actually had this conversation recently with a friend of mine who is expressing the problem, like, and saying it's about these people and these people and these people. And what are, oh no, I forgot what I was saying. But anyway, like, I can say there's a problem with big pharmaceutical companies, but it doesn't mean that I'm a victim to it, if that makes sense. And it's not my business. My business is me. My business is to be the shiningest, most radiant, most magnetic, most clear, most connected version of me. That's my job, period. And in doing so, the ripple effect of me being the most powerful version of me changes the people around me in a concentric circle of ripples that goes around the world. It is not my job to fight anything, and if I fight anything, that is me literally handing over my life force energy to that thing, making that thing stronger while I deplete myself. Boom, how's that? So it's not my job. So anyway, Next Level University is here. Comment below if you want to be participating, if you want to have these next level conversations, if you want to have a safe space where you know it's time for you to go to the next level. If you want to have the deeper conversations one-on-one with me, I only have 5 spots for this because I can tell you this much. I already have so many private clients, and to take on more private clients would max me out. How long have I wanted to say that and be like, hallelujah, how is this my life? A long time. So I have 5 spots available for the one-on-one. You get one-on-one access to me for 6 weeks, and that includes live phone calls and messaging throughout between sessions. So it is pretty powerful, and comment below. I'm excited. This is a whole big deal. Talk to you soon.